Welcome. This is the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. This is where you'll learn strategies to help you achieve lifetime financial freedom through real estate investment. Your host, Rod Khleif, has owned over 2,000 homes and apartments, and he brings experts in all aspects of real estate investment and management onto the show. Now, here's your host, Rod Khleif.
Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Khleif, and I'm thrilled you're here. Before we get to our incredible guest this week, I want to tell you about something I'm really proud of. For the last 8 months, I've been working on a book. It's 200 pages long. It's all about multifamily real estate investing. It's a soup to nuts book about the business, literally from picking a market to how to talk to brokers, how to talk to sellers, how to structure your deals, how to fund your deals, how to finance them, how to manage them. I mean, everything. There's no fluff in this book. It's actually more like a textbook. And guess what? I'm going to give it to you for free. Everybody I speak with needs help to learn this business. You guys know I take calls every week from you guys, like 30-minute calls. And literally, 201, there's a pattern that's emerged, and you guys all need some help. And I thought this would be a huge step in the right direction. Now, I'll tell you, I haven't even titled it yet. It's either going to be called The New Rules of Real Estate Investing or Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. Now, I'll also tell you, I just finished the first edit. It still needs to be final edited, so it could be another 45 to 60 days before it's finished, but I promise it'll be worth the wait. If you want it, all you have to do is text my name, Rod, to 41411. So to repeat that, just text ROD to 41411, and I'll put you on the list for the book. Now, don't get upset if it takes a little bit longer than the 60 days. You know how these things go, but it's really good if I say so myself, humbly. So anyway, if you want a copy, text ROD to 41411. And I will tell you guys, it's not often I get to interview someone that I personally admire as much as today's guest. When I first got into real estate, Tom Hopkins was the number one sales trainer for real estate professionals in the world. And I personally saw him speak at 2 events. Now, I know he's personally spoken in front of literally millions of people, I think probably exceeding 5 million people. And those of you that are thinking, wait a minute, this is a real estate investing podcast. Why are you interviewing a sales expert? Guys, because your ability to influence or sell brokers, sellers, lenders, investors will make you or break you in this business. Now, Tom's also a best-selling author. It's funny. I was just looking through my library at home. I've got about 1,000 business books, and I came across his book, Low Profile Selling, that I literally bought 22 years ago. This guy's an absolute legend. And so without any further ado, Tom, I am honored and humbled to have you on my show.
Well, Rod, thank you. And I'm thrilled whenever I get a chance to talk with folks that are interested in investing in real estate. And that really was how my life started changing. I was 19 years of age when I'd been in real estate about 4.5 months, hadn't done much, and I went to a seminar in Orange County, California, and the whole subject was investing in income properties. And this man basically said, if you'll try to set a goal of buying a home every 90 days and rent it, and this is going to mushroom and make a lot of money for you. And so, I'm very coachable, Rod. I said, well, all right, I'll do what he told me to do. So I started saving up my little commissions and started buying one here, one there, and all of a sudden it was wonderful because my greatest equities in my properties are the major part of my net worth today, having traded them into income properties. So right. I relate to the folks that you're going to have on or listening to our program today. And, I'm prejudiced because I found my life of 8 years in real estate, and then in that time bought many, many, many income properties. So I'm sure on target with you, Rod, on what you guys and gals do.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. And what you just said, using your money from real estate sales to invest in income property is a fantastic model. And that's the model I suggest to all you guys is use use whatever money you make and whatever else you're doing to invest in multifamily property. And here you hear it yet once again. So let's talk about, and by the way, guys, Tom has a fantastic website. You need to check it out. It's tomhopkins.com. He has a ton of free resources on there. He's got a free resource page. And this, Tom, you're a legend, and I'm not afraid to push you because I know the quality of the materials that you have. So what I want to do today, though, and I know your background is real estate, and you've I think your last year in real estate, I think I read that you sold 365 houses back when that was a really big deal. It's a big deal today, but back then, without all the technological resources that we have now, that's truly incredible. And so I know you could talk for days about real estate on that level, but I want to focus on your sales training because I think to get through life, people are selling themselves all the time. I mean, even to your spouse, to your friends, you're selling. And so I'd like to focus on sales, if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, perfect. No, that's wonderful.
Okay, so my first question here, and they're in no particular order, but I know you're an expert at building rapport, and rapport is critical if you're going to influence somebody. So can you talk about, I think you've got a funny story about rapport as well, but can you talk about how to build rapport?
Well, there are 7 fundamentals in the art of selling.
Okay.
And the original contact, which is number 2 of the 7, is when you first meet a person, either on the telephone or in person. And one of the first keys to, I think, long-term success is to have 2 things happen. You lower their sales resistance with the way you're coming across with them, and you're increasing their sales acceptance. Now, if you listen to those 2 little things, that's what a pro is doing constantly with people. Because when you meet anybody in a selling situation, they usually have pretty good defenses up. They have resistance of being sold. And so the pro is doing that and establishing rapport, is lowering sales resistance and increasing sales acceptance. And of course, I think you build rapport by, first of all, lots of little things. I think that when they first see you visually with a nice smile, that's warmth. Because people, to a degree, Rod, they mirror you. So if I come across with a happy feeling in the beginning, with warmth, with a smile, that starts them warming up a little faster. And then, of course, I think you must become a master questioner to where you really learn how to ask people questions and become a better listener than a talker. And, of course, most people in sales of anything, they enjoy talking, that they're very communicative. They got into selling usually because they could talk. And the key is to ask and listen rather than talk and tell, which is a foundational part of building rapport. And I feel people like, and another truth about this asking questions, Rod, is that in any conversation, whoever is talking is only learning what they already know.
Right.
When you're a master questioner, you're going to learn what you need to know. So I think the questioning, the listening, good eye contact. By the way, in most real estate transactions, you'll have more than one party sitting across a desk or table. Don't neglect anyone. Share the questions and the eye contact with everybody at the table. Because if you leave one person out or they feel neglected, they could be the final decision maker, and that could destroy your transaction because you didn't spread your eye contact, your questioning with all parties.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's absolutely dead on. Yeah, it's so funny. I haven't heard this stuff in such a long time. It's like opening up cobwebs in my brain. I haven't thought about these things that now are instinctual. But that's awesome. Now, So typically, and I expect you to say build commonality, but you went to warmth and asking questions, and there's no question, guys. Questions are the way to lead a conversation. They are the way to stay in control of a conversation. They are the way to steer the conversation where you want it to go. Don't you agree, Tom?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's so critical. I think I spend 80% of my whole seminars be it 1 day or 2 days, 3 days. I spend 80% teaching questioning rather than talking, because there again, whoever is asking the right questions is going to lead that other person to the right decision of saying yes to either the opportunity, the investment, or whatever they're trying to help them say yes to.
Sure. Okay. Now, you mentioned these 7 steps. Is that a whole long conversation, or can you touch on those?
No, I can touch very quickly. The very first, of course, is prospecting, meaning you have to find a way to prospect, referral and non-referral. Then you meet people, which is number 2, original contact. Then, of course, number 3 is qualification. And number 4 is establishing rapport. Okay. And then, of course, number 5 would be presentation skills, how you present your offering. Number 5 would be then handling objections. Number 6 is closing the sale. And number 7 is getting referrals or quality introductions. So in essence, that is an overview.
Sure. Sure. And you could speak probably to that, to everything you just said there for hours. And I appreciate it. I was just curious what they were. And thank you for that. And
sure.
And some of them won't apply to every situation, like, oh, no, I shouldn't say that. I was thinking about referrals. If you're out there going and trying to approach sellers, you could certainly ask who else they know that might be interested in selling. So never mind. I think they apply to everything. So, okay, well, let's talk next about someone's level of conviction, because I know you've talked about that or written about that, as it relates to influencing.
Well, I totally believe that you will be as successful as your belief and conviction in what you do. And years ago, I played golf with Wayne Gretzky, who of course changed the whole world in the United States of hockey. And after the game, we were driving back to the house, and I said, Wayne, I'd love you to share with me why you feel you were so successful playing hockey. I mean, my gosh, he was called the Great One.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And he didn't give himself that name. The world did.
Right.
And he said, Tom, I think my reason for succeeding was I had an overwhelming passion. And he used the P word, passion, for all aspects of hockey. He said I had a passion for winning, a passion for losing, a passion for practice, a passion for beating these other guys that were all after me. And so that's kind of when I took the P word, passion, which is also a word, conviction. You must be passionate about what you do for your vocation, your career, what you do to earn a living. And, of course, I was passionate after I started buying real estate. I got so passionate when people walk in, and, I can't tell you, Rod,
right,
the number of people that walked into my office with a true desire to rent a home. And I would sit them down, start asking questions, and sure enough, get them to open their minds to possibly owning instead of renting. And I was very good at creative financing, and gosh, I helped people that had hardly any money get into a home. Now, this is back when, homes are very inexpensive based on what they are today.
Sure.
But it was the same process. People didn't have any money then. Sure.
Yeah, it was your passion. Yeah.
I was convicted that everybody had to own their own property, and that was where I was on fire with passion.
Right. And guys, the same thing applies. And you've heard me talk about it many, many times. You've got to associate pleasure with this. Passion and conviction comes from doing something you enjoy. And, if you're not enjoying this, you should be doing something else. And that's why what Tom is talking about here, that passion will bring conviction, and people will feel that. Tony Robbins likes to say, if you've built rapport with someone, the person with the most certainty or conviction in this case will influence the other. And would you agree with that statement, Tom?
Oh, yes. And okay. Tony Robbins was 21 years of age when he came to my first 3-day seminar when he attended it. And it's kind of funny. I like telling the story, but I got on the stage, maybe had 400 people in the room, and I saw this guy in the back, and I thought, wonder why he doesn't sit down. And I wonder why he's standing. And, of course, it was Tony Robbins. Hell, he wasn't standing. He was just that tall.
Oh, that's funny. That's very funny. Oh, that's hilarious. I know that there are people out there that think to themselves, I'm not a great salesman or I'm not a great saleswoman. Can you speak to that thought process?
Sure,
and
sure.
the damaging nature of it?
And really, this is so important. So please, everybody, really listen up now. You have two extreme personality and temperament types. You have the interesting extrovert, and then you have the interested introvert. Now, the interesting extrovert, based on their name interesting, is the person that gravitates naturally into selling. They're talkative, gregarious, outgoing, they're fun. So that would be the interesting extrovert. Now, the opposite is the interested introvert. Now, the interested introvert is somewhat humble and shy, a little sensitive. They're slow talkers. And my personal belief is that an interested introvert can do better in selling than an interesting extrovert. Wow. Because the interested introvert doesn't come across as a stereotypical image of a salesperson that threatens people. They let other people talk. They love to ask questions. So you that might be and of course, think of this. If I met you and you were an interested introvert, and I tended to be more of an interesting extrovert, I would calm down and move closer to you as an interested introvert by asking more questions. If I met you and you were an interesting extrovert and I happened to tend to be an interested introvert, I would lean more towards interesting extrovert as far as a little lighter, asking more questions and being a fun person. So again, you have to be flexible. I love that F word, flexible, to change, to relate to them, because you can't ask people to relate to you. You must adapt your temperament, your personality to relate to the person that you're talking with.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people that talk about matching and mirroring, taking that to a whole nother level. And I completely agree. I know when I was first buying houses, I'd have my brothers and friends come with me, and literally they would notice that I would speak the same speed that the seller I was talking to was speaking. Sometimes I'd even incorporate some of the slang into my conversation with them, and they connect with you because you're like them. That's very interesting. And I love your example of the introvert versus the extrovert, because I can use it. I'm thinking of personally right now. I just hired a CPA for one of my companies, and he is that exactly. And he doesn't think he's a great salesman. Believe it or not, he is. And what's interesting is when he and I sit and talk, I slow down and I really pay attention because you don't have that salesy quality that you get sometimes from people that are the extroverts. So I love that explanation, and that totally resonated. And I hope it did with you guys that are listening. Those of you that are the introverts, you think you have an incredible ability to influence because of what Tom just said. So I hope you guys really paid attention to that. So next on my list here, Tom, is leadership. I know you have a lot to say about that. What are traits that are in leaders that you think people should emulate or aspire to bring?
Well, first of all, after 5 years of listing and selling real estate, residential properties, I became a manager for Coldwell Banker and managed one of their offices. It was like one of the lowest producers, and I decided I was going to have a top office. And you must find mentors to teach you. And I did research and found some wonderful management trainers. Ken Blanchard, who is a master management trainer. He specializes in wonderful leadership ideas. And then, of course, J. Douglas Edwards, who was the father of American selling back when he was alive, I sat at his feet and got many ideas on leadership. But, if no one's following you, you can bet your boots you're not a good leader. But if you have a bunch of folks that are dependent upon you, that love what you do, that want to emulate you, and you must have some good leadership skills. Which is, of course, I think leading people is an art in itself. And I think you have to earn the right to manage a person. You have to earn the right to lead them. But great salespeople always don't make great managers because they are so used to taking control, they haven't mastered the art of leadership. So you may want to look into getting some information, and there's wonderful material available on Amazon on leading and leadership.
Right.
And build your library. Have a library of all these concepts.
Right. Right. No, I couldn't agree more. And I've got a whole whole library full of leadership books, and there's some great content by some fantastic authors. And Blanchard's fantastic. I've read a lot of his books. You're very lucky to have been able to mentor underneath him directly. So the next question on my list is to remember who you're helping, yourself or them.
Well, I really believe that that's just critical. I think the reason I have been so blessed and fortunate in life and business and sales and marketing is because I really like people and I want them to like and trust me. I have a relationship with most folks and they're happy to do business with me. And again, I think the reason is that you really have to have good people skills, where you really say to yourself, hey, I'm going to do my best to establish a rapport, to build a relationship. I want to do a long-term business with folks, not a one-term hit-miss, transactions. And the reason my last year in real estate, I closed 365 homes, which is an average of one a day, is most of the folks referred people to me because I took good care of them. I followed up. I kept commitments. If I said I would do something, I would write it down and do it. And too many people in the field of sales will, in the excitement of making a sale, will say almost anything, but
right.
Then they don't follow up. And of course, I've been a nut on following up, keeping in touch, sending thank you notes, which by the way, I think if they go to my free resource page, they'll see 10 professionally edited thank you notes. Awesome. That I created, and they can take them. And I think, Rod, the thank you note today has more meaning even than back when I did it, because with all this impersonal electronic communication, the handwritten little thank you note has much more power today.
No question.
Do it.
I can tell you that I got one from someone that I mentored, and it's such a classy move now. I mean, of course I emailed him in response, but I emailed him. I said that was a class act by sending me that thank you note. It's so unusual that it kind of blows people away. So guys, when you're dealing with brokers, when you're dealing with potential investors, all of this applies, and it's so important. The follow-up is so critical, and we've got tools now that Tom didn't have, like CRM programs that are practically free, and so that you don't miss a follow-up, so that you stay on top of what you're doing, and that's that's the secret there, and focusing on their needs instead of your own. You're helping them. And when they feel that, they open up and you're able to influence and create a win-win situation. Okay. Well, that was awesome. The next one I've got here is the power of getting people to answer their own objections. And now you're a master of overcoming objections, but can you speak to that?
Well, sure. Normally, an objection is just a signpost kind of on the road to the sale. And I always found that if they give me an objection, like say, for example, one objection is the property is more than they want to spend. And right. They say that. They say, Tom, I like this investment, but I think it just costs too much. Well, see, if I hear that, I'm just going to say, well, John, I can relate. Today, most things do. Can you tell me about how much too much you feel the investment is? Now, by throwing that question back at them, they give me an amount of money, which now I have something tangible. I've taken it costs too much into an amount of money, which I can help them rationalize in different ways, of course, in closing a transaction. But I found over the years that they'll say, I want to think it over. And of course, I always, just smile and say, well, obviously you wouldn't take your time thinking it over unless you were seriously interested, would you? And they usually would say, well, no, we are. Well, then can you kind of share with me what you need to think over? Let's talk about it. And I just keep questioning them. And then eventually I get them to rationalize. And that R word is so important. We are in the business of helping others rationalize the decision to go along with us. That's what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's interesting, guys, those of you listening thinking, well, he used that to somebody that wants to buy a house, but you could use the exact same framework for somebody that you're a seller that you're trying to, negotiate a price with. And I love that question, so how much of a difference is there? Talk about the answer that you need. And so this applies in multiple scenarios that and continually asking questions to keep the conversation going. Well, I want to sleep on it. Well, that I love that. You must be interested, or be thinking about this seriously. So, what is it that you want to think about, and keep questioning. I love that. Absolutely love it.
And I used to have such fun, Rod. I've had couples that we'd be getting along real well, and the guy'd go, I think we're going to sleep on this. Get back to you tomorrow. And I always said, well, you know what? I'm so excited about serving you that I'm going to go get on the couch and I'll sleep here too. And when we wake up, and of course, that would break the ice a little bit as far as the little pressure, and they'd laugh. And I think everybody listening needs to do three things. We need to educate. In real estate investments, you're an educator where you are literally teaching people, and when they feel they're getting usable knowledge, their minds open up. They want to know more. So we first of all educate, and then of course number two, we motivate. I think I call motivation the motive for the action. And I think all of us in this business are motivating people to make a change, to do something different, to increase their net worth. And then, of course, the last word is have fun. And I felt that when I would always educate, motivate, and have fun with people, that not only was it a wonderful relationship, but they do business with me year after year because of those three things: educate, motivate, and have fun.
No question. And I could see that in so many different scenarios, just like I'm thinking seller right now. So, you go and you talk to a seller and you're educating them on what the market conditions are. Then you're finding their motivation or motivating them, and you're having fun through the process. And all of these tips apply in across all sorts of sales situations. So again, incredible value with what you just said. I'm writing this stuff down. Okay, the next on my question list is the power of self-discipline.
Well, this is really a tough one too, because I found over the years that if a young person wasn't disciplined as they grew and matured, it was more difficult for them to become self-disciplined. And I was fortunate. I had a father that was a disciplinarian to a point, and because of that, I feel I had self-discipline. But this is a real important characteristic, quality, if you will. And self-discipline is doing what you fear most. It's doing what you don't want to do after the motivation to do it is gone. It's, again, paying fast attention to details, doing everything you tell your sellers and your people you're going to do, being punctual. There's another challenge. Many people in this business, they're not punctual. They're always running a little late, and this, of course, happens to all of us, but it's something we need to work on. And again, I think all these things allow you to build a tremendously successful business. And so of course, I followed the golden rule all of my life, Rod. I tried to treat everybody the way I'd like to be treated. And of course, I had a philosophy that I would use the money that I would make, but I would love the people that would help me make it. So if you use money and love people, you'll make lots of money and have a wonderful life.
Oh, I love it. I love that. That's fantastic. Tom, I do these weekly episodes. I call them, they're 5 to 10 minute clips called Your Driving Force Success Tips. And it's so funny. I'm probably going to release the one on procrastination that ties right into what we were just talking about when I release your episode. But we talk about, the psychology of success, where 80% of your success in anything really is your psychology and 20% is the actual mechanics, goal setting, visualization, things of that nature. Tom, you are such a motivated, incredibly motivated guy. I want to ask you this question. What drives you? What makes you get out of bed and tackle the day?
Well, I would have to say that I have always loved what I have done. I don't think I've ever worked. Now, granted, I did have a year out of high school in construction as an iron worker. That I did not love.
Right.
But as soon as I got my real estate license, as soon as I started serving people, as soon as I started again in the investment field as well, I fell in love with it. And today, as an author, today as doing these type of things with you, and of course getting on a stage and helping people have a better life in a seminar, I have a love affair every day with life. And I hope everybody listening loves their life and what they do. And I'm with you. If I was on a job I didn't like or I hated, I'd make enough money that I was financially able to quit that job and do research and find something you have a passion for and that you love.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people listening, are in that place. They don't particularly love what they're doing. They love the idea of financial freedom. They love, the idea of maybe doing it through real estate. And I know that you've just added a tremendous amount of value to my listeners, Tom. I'm very, very grateful that you're on my show. Guys, if you want more information, go to tomhopkins.com. He just talked about it. He's got a free resource page. He's got those thank you notes, which I think are fantastic. I'm going to go look there. He's got incredible books on sales. Those of you that feel like you're introverts and want a little more knowledge on this, grab one of his books. You just had a real opportunity listening to Mr. Tom Hopkins. I know, like you just told me, you're going to talk to 4,000 people in Shanghai here in a couple of weeks. So you're still doing seminars. That's fantastic. But Tom, I'm very, very grateful for you being on the show, and I will continue to follow what you're doing.
You to help the folks the way you are, and I'm very proud to have been on your show and wish you all the best. And all of you that listen, thank you, and God bless you all.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and then take a moment to visit iTunes and leave a 5-star rating and review. For more resources to connect with us further, please visit our website at lifetimecashflowpodcast.com. Tune in next week for our next show.